Perspective is everything. How you see what you're going through can change the entire outcome of your journey. When you're in the middle of a storm, it can be so easy to focus only on the wind and the rain, on the hardship and the struggle. It's natural to feel like you're being overwhelmed by the circumstances. But what if I told you that how you look at the situation is just as important as how you handle it? Perspective can either keep you stuck or propel you forward. When we shift the way we view our challenges, we often discover that the very things that seem like obstacles are actually opportunities for growth. It's like when a seed is planted deep in the ground, surrounded by dirt, buried beneath layers of soil. At first, it looks like it's trapped, like it has no way out. But the deeper it goes, the stronger it grows. What seems like a setback is really the groundwork for something new to sprout. That's what perspective does. It helps us see beyond the surface, to see the potential in the pain. There are moments in life when the hardest battles feel like the ones that are draining you the most. But if you can just take a step back and look at it from a different angle, you might begin to understand that the battle is shaping you for a bigger purpose. What seems like a delay in your plans could be the very thing preparing you for your breakthrough. The journey isn't always straight, and it's certainly not always easy. But every detour, every challenge, every twist in the road is part of a bigger picture. So ask yourself, how can I look at this from a new perspective? How can I see the lessons hidden in the struggle? Often, it's in the moments of discomfort, when everything feels like it's falling apart, that we learn the most about who we truly are and what we're truly capable of. Perspective allows us to see that those hard moments aren't there to break us. They're there to build us. Resilience is more than just bouncing back from hardship. It's about how we evolve and grow through it. Life will inevitably throw challenges our way. We all encounter moments when we feel like we can't go any further, when the weight of the struggle seems too much to bear. But resilience isn't about never falling. It's about having the strength to rise after we do. It's about having a deep-rooted conviction that no matter how difficult the situation, we will keep moving forward. Resilience is what keeps you from staying down when life knocks you down. It's the ability to keep your eyes fixed on the future, even when the present is overwhelming. But let's be clear, resilience doesn't come from avoiding difficulty. It comes from facing the hard things head on, trusting that you can handle what's ahead, even when you don't feel strong enough. Think of resilience as a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every time you face a trial and choose to push through, you're building resilience. Each struggle adds to your capacity to handle what's next. When you build resilience, you start seeing challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to strengthen your character, your perseverance, and your faith. Resilience also involves a mindset shift. It's about deciding in the middle of the storm that you will not allow the circumstances to define you. You choose to define how you respond. It's not that tough times won't hurt or won't be difficult, but resilience gives you the ability to transform that pain into purpose. When you embrace resilience, you understand that hardship is not the enemy, it's the teacher. It's the fuel that propels you to greater heights. Pain often feels like an enemy, something that we would do anything to avoid. It's uncomfortable, it's overwhelming, and it sometimes seems like it will never end. But what if we could start seeing pain differently? What if we could look beyond the immediate discomfort and recognize that it's not just an obstacle, but a teacher, a tool for growth? In every painful experience, there's purpose waiting to be discovered. Pain, in its deepest form, shapes us in ways that joy never could. It strips away the superficial layers and forces us to confront who we really are. It exposes our weaknesses, our vulnerabilities, but it also uncovers our strength. Often, it's when we are hurting the most that we discover the depth of resilience, faith, and courage that we didn't even know we had. Through the fire, we are refined, and that refining process isn't easy, but it is necessary for the next phase of our lives. When you're going through pain, it's tempting to ask, why me? But instead of looking for reasons to give up, consider that the pain may be preparing you for something bigger than you can see right now. It's in the moments of struggle that we learn the most about ourselves and the world around us. It teaches us empathy, compassion, and strength, qualities that would be impossible to cultivate without the experience of suffering. Pain also has a way of redirecting our lives, of showing us where we need to change, grow, or even let go. Often we're too comfortable in our routines, too comfortable in our lives, until pain shakes us awake. It's in that shaking that we are reminded of the greater purpose that's at work in our lives, even when we can't see it yet. When we begin to understand that our pain has a purpose, we stop fighting against it and start learning from it. Purpose doesn't always reveal itself in the moment of suffering. Often, it's only after we've come through it that we can look back and see how the pieces of the puzzle fit together. The challenges we face today may become the foundation for the breakthroughs we experience tomorrow. Pain refines us, shapes us, and ultimately prepares us for the good things ahead. In a world that thrives on instant gratification, we often want everything to happen quickly, easily, and without delay. But the truth is, growth doesn't happen in an instant. The process, the time it takes to get from one place to another, is as important, if not more important, than the outcome itself. Embracing the process is about learning to trust the journey. Even when the steps feel small or the progress seems slow, when you're going through tough times, it can be hard to see the value in the waiting. You want to get to the result now. You want the breakthrough, the solution, the end of the struggle. But the process is where the real work happens. It's the period where you're learning, growing, and being transformed. It's the time when your character is being shaped and your foundation is being built. Without the process, you wouldn't be ready for the things that are coming your way. Embracing the process means understanding that everything is a step in the right direction, even when it doesn't feel like it. It's about having faith that every day, every moment, no matter how insignificant it may seem, is contributing to the person you are becoming. There is no fast track to true growth. The time you spend in the process, learning, failing, trying again, adjusting, adapting, builds the strength you need for the next chapter of your life. The process isn't always easy, but it is always necessary. There are moments when it feels like you're taking one step forward and two steps back, when the road ahead seems uncertain and the end seems far out of reach. It's in those moments that embracing the process becomes a choice to keep going, to keep trusting, to keep moving forward, even when you don't have all the answers. It's also important to recognize that the process is not just about getting through hard times. It's about being present in them. When we embrace the process, we stop rushing through the difficult moments and instead learn to appreciate the lessons they offer. The struggle itself has something to teach us. The process molds us into something better than we were before, even if we can't always see it in the moment. Growth is a series of steps, often taken one small, seemingly insignificant step at a time. Each step brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. If we try to skip the process, we miss out on the foundation that prepares us for everything ahead. Embracing the process isn't about avoiding the hard parts, but about finding the strength and the courage to keep moving through them, knowing that each step is part of your transformation. When we're going through difficult times, it can feel like everything is happening out of our control. The challenges seem overwhelming, and it's easy to question whether we'll make it through. We wonder why things aren't moving faster, or why we're stuck in a certain season for so long. It's in these moments that we need to remind ourselves of one simple truth. God's faithfulness means that he can be relied upon no matter what. No matter how dark the days may seem, no matter how lost or uncertain we feel, God is always faithful to his promises. He never leaves us nor forsakes us. Even when it feels like we're walking through the hardest valleys, he is walking right beside us, guiding, protecting, and carrying us when we are too weak to carry ourselves. God's faithfulness doesn't depend on our circumstances, our feelings, or our understanding of the situation. It's constant, unwavering, and eternal. But here's where we struggle: God's timing. We live in a world of immediacy. We want things to happen on our terms at the pace we want. When we face challenges, we often ask, why now? Why me? Why is this taking so long? But God's timing is not like ours. It doesn't follow the calendar or the clock. It's not determined by what we see in front of us, but by a greater eternal purpose that we may not fully understand in the moment. God sees the big picture. And sometimes that means waiting. It means being patient, trusting that the timing of events in our lives is part of a plan that is far greater than what we can comprehend. Think about the biblical story of Abraham. God promised him a son, but the promise didn't come to pass immediately. Abraham had to wait years, decades, in fact, before he saw God's promise fulfilled. But in that waiting, God was working. He was teaching Abraham patience, faith, and trust. When the promise was finally realized, it was in God's perfect timing. God's timing is always aligned with our needs, even if we don't see it that way. Sometimes we're not ready for the things we're praying for. Sometimes we need more growth, more preparation, or more healing before we can handle the blessings that God has for us. It's in the waiting, in the trusting, that we are refined and prepared for what's ahead. God's delays are not denials. They are part of his process of getting us ready for something greater. There are moments when God will make us wait because the timing is just not right. And there are moments when he will act quickly in a way that only he can, showing us that his timing is always perfect. We may not understand why things aren't happening as quickly as we want them to, but we can trust that God knows exactly when we need what he has for us. His faithfulness never wavers, and his timing is never off. When we hold on to the truth of God's faithfulness and timing, we find peace. We know that even when things don't make sense, God is still in control. His plan for our lives is good, and his timing will always be right. Even in the hardest moments, we can rest in the confidence that God is at work, and He will bring us through to the other side, stronger and more equipped than we were before. Perspective is one of the most powerful forces in shaping our experiences. It's the lens through which we view our circumstances, and it has the ability to transform how we navigate the challenges life throws at us. How we choose to see something doesn't just affect our emotions, it affects our actions, our relationships, and ultimately the outcome of our situations. A shift in perspective can change everything. When you're facing a difficult situation, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the weight of it. The challenges in front of you can seem insurmountable, and it might feel like the struggle is all-consuming. In those moments, we often see only the pain, the failure, or the obstacles. We can become so fixated on the difficulty of the moment that we forget to see the possibility on the other side. This is where perspective plays a key role. Perspective is not about ignoring the reality of what's happening. It's about choosing to see the bigger picture, the potential for growth, and the lessons in the midst of hardship. One of the most profound things about perspective is that it can change the way we experience the pain itself. Think about a person going through a storm. They could choose to focus on how fierce the winds are and how unrelenting the rain feels, or they could choose to focus on what the storm is preparing them for. The storm in this case isn't something to be feared or resented, but something to endure because it is leading to something greater. The right perspective helps us see that pain isn't always a punishment, but sometimes a process, a necessary step on the way to something better. It's in the struggle, after all, that we are shaped. The challenges we face force us to develop qualities like patience, resilience, and strength. Without them, we would never grow. Our perspective allows us to realize that every difficulty is an opportunity for growth, a chance to strengthen the muscles of our faith, our character, and our resolve. The more we face challenges with the right perspective, the stronger we become. But perspective isn't just about looking forward. It's also about how we look at our past. How often do we view our past mistakes or failures as setbacks? What if, instead of seeing them as things that held us back, we saw them as stepping stones, necessary learning experiences that taught us valuable lessons? Our past, when viewed from the right perspective, isn't something to be ashamed of or to regret. It's part of the process that has brought us to where we are today. Every wrong turn, every failure, every moment of disappointment has contributed to the person we are becoming. The right perspective allows us to embrace our history, not as a series of mistakes, but as a series of lessons that have made us wiser and more prepared for the future. In the midst of adversity, perspective is also about seeing the bigger picture. When we're caught in the heat of the moment, it's easy to lose sight of what we're working toward. The hardship in front of us feels all-consuming, and it's difficult to see beyond it. But with the right perspective, we can remember that our current situation is not permanent. The challenges we face now are just a chapter in the larger story of our lives. If we can view our struggles from the lens of eternity or the context of the bigger picture, we can find hope because we know that what we're going through is not the end, it's just part of the journey. The most powerful part of perspective, though, is realizing that we can choose it. It's easy to let our circumstances define us, but when we embrace the truth that our perspective shapes our reality, we take back control. We can choose to see our struggles as opportunities, our pain as progress, and our setbacks as setups for something greater. In every situation, no matter how difficult, there's always something we can learn, something we can use to propel us forward. It's not about denying the hardship or pretending it's easy. It's about seeing beyond the struggle to what's possible. And so, perspective becomes a tool for transformation. It's not a matter of wishing the difficult times away, but of learning to see them as moments that refine us, strengthen us, and prepare us for what's to come. Our perspective, when aligned with faith and hope, has the power to change the entire course of our lives. It's a choice we make every single day, and it's one of the most powerful decisions we can make. The right perspective changes everything. Victory doesn't come without struggle. It's often the struggle itself that makes victory so sweet, so meaningful. The truth is, every victory, every achievement is built on the foundation of challenges faced and obstacles overcome. We live in a world that often celebrates the end result, the success, the breakthrough, the moment of triumph. But it's easy to forget that the victory is not just about reaching the goal. It's about everything you've been through to get there. The struggle makes the victory worth it because it teaches us lessons that we would never learn in the absence of hardship. We tend to view struggle as something to be avoided. It's uncomfortable, painful, and taxing. It can feel like we're taking 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back. But it's in these moments, in the midst of the pain and difficulty, that something powerful is happening. The struggle refines us. It prepares us for what's ahead. It strengthens us in ways that we can't even understand at the time. And in those moments, when everything feels too difficult to endure, we need to remember that struggle is not the end, it's part of the process. Think of athletes who train for years to compete at the highest level. The physical strain, the hours of practice, the mental exhaustion. They face setbacks and challenges at every turn. But when they cross the finish line, when they stand on that podium, the victory is not just in the medal they earn. It's in the realization that every drop of sweat, every moment of doubt, every sacrifice made during their training led them to that moment. The victory is not just in the triumph, but in the person they've become through the struggle. It's the same in our lives. The struggles we face, the difficulties we encounter are not roadblocks to our success. They are the very things that prepare us for it. When you face a challenge, whether personal, professional, or spiritual, it's easy to feel like you're being defeated, like the end is just too far away. But if you choose to push through, to keep going even when it feels impossible, you'll find that you're being shaped, molded, and strengthened in ways that will allow you to handle greater things down the road. And what's incredible is that this process of struggling and overcoming doesn't just apply to one area of life, it applies to every area. In relationships, in career, in personal growth, in faith, each struggle, each challenge we face is part of the journey toward greater things. There are moments when the road seems long and the victory seems distant. But it's important to remember that victory after the struggle isn't always about the finish line in the way we think. It's about the transformation that happens within us in the midst of the fight. Sometimes victory isn't even about the outcome we thought we wanted. In the struggle, we gain a new perspective, a deeper understanding of ourselves and what really matters. We may go into a situation with one goal in mind, but after enduring the struggle, we realize that victory isn't just about achieving that goal, it's about becoming the person we needed to be to achieve something even greater. Moreover, the victory after the struggle is often shared. It's in the moments when we've endured hardship that we are able to help others through their own struggles. When you've been through the fire, you can reach out to someone else who is facing their own flames and say, I've been there, and you can make it too. The victory becomes not just personal, but collective. Our struggles unite us in ways that success alone cannot. At the core, victory after the struggle is a reminder that nothing worth having comes easy. It's the process of growth, the lessons learned, and the character built along the way that make victory meaningful. The victory isn't just about crossing the finish line, it's about everything that happens in the race. It's about the strength you gain, the wisdom you acquire, and the person you become in the process. When you come through the other side of struggle, you realize that the victory was never really about the destination. It was always about the journey, the fight, and the resilience that led you to the moment of triumph.